All right. Not bad. You see how that making that first decision on that first turn makes the difference on where you're going to go. It's kind of like with the serpentines. You know, when you first in that first set of cones, that was a determining factor of who went where and what. Just keep on rolling through there. Go to the left. Or go to the, which way did you go that time?
I went to the right.
Now go to the left. All right. All right, that's all right. Let's go back to the right this time. And now that was generated by that first turn. You kind of turned it sharp.
Yeah.
See the difference there?
Yeah, it's turned into a lot smoother.
Welcome back. Here with Greg Hutching, who is the director of the Public Safety Program at Washington Homes Technical Center in Chipley, Florida. Another in our series of letting you know all that Washington Homes has to offer. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you've seen us speak with the cybersecurity program, certainly with the digital audio video program, the Learning Resource Center, and several other departments. Now with Greg Hutching, and probably have saved some of the more exciting stuff for last, Greg. Here today with a group of students who are going through EVOC training, Emergency Vehicle Operations. And Greg, it's a beautiful day, so it's not a tough duty to be out here today. Talk a little bit first about your program. I know that it encompasses many specialties, and I know that you enjoy your job. You're excited every time that I talk to you about your job. You've got that gleam in your eye. I know you enjoy what you do. Talk a little bit about the public safety program there at Washington Homes.
Sure, Paul, thank you. One thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that we don't just encompass criminal justice training, we do public safety training, which is law enforcement, firefighter, EMT, corrections training, and then advanced training for all the disciplines. So we're very excited about what we offer here. And when we first started this program, revamped this program about 5 years ago, we were offering corrections only training, which is an important fact, but we needed to branch out and do something more for our public servants in this area here so they wouldn't have to travel to get the training they need. So we've spread out, we've branched out, and we offer the training that we offer, and we have a very good success rate with our students. Their placement rates are great, their passage rates are great, and we try to screen our students or applicants to make sure we get the best of the best. So what we're doing out here today, we're at the, as you said, the Chipley High School football field parking lot, which to the naked eye looks like a parking lot, but we use it for a driving range. It is a FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement certified driving range. And what we utilize it for is to get these guys trained in the emergency vehicle operations or EVOC training so that they can be prepared for the challenges of driving patrol cars on the streets. So this group today we have with us are law enforcement recruits, and that's what they're training for, is for the emergency driving. And we're using a unique system today. And the system that we're utilizing today is called the Easy Drift. What it is it's actually a Kevlar lined plastic that goes on the back tires of the car. And what it does is it causes the car to go into a skid at a lower speed, which is a safer way for them to learn how to recover from skids without having to go 30, 40 miles an hour and the wear and tear in the vehicle. So it's very exciting to watch these guys do it, and it gives them the opportunity to learn how to do it in a proper manner to recover and continue on where they were trying to do before they had the problem that presented itself to them.
Well, and you mentioned the high level of placement of these graduates. Talking to Kim Miller, who heads up the cosmetology program, they have 100% placement. Now, not every program is like that, but in conversation with some of your staff earlier, we found out that there are probably well in excess of 1,000 corrections jobs alone within an hour drive of where we are right now. So you're turning out people that really have the ability to go out and get a real job fairly quickly after they get a certificate or licensed.
Absolutely. Just in our geographic, in a 50-mile radius from where we're at right now, there are 4 or 5 prisons, and they employ at least 400 officers. So we've got the reception center in Greenhead, which employs almost 800 officers alone. So the job opportunities are there. They haven't gone anywhere. As long as people are going to commit crimes, they're going to have to go to jail, so they're going to have somebody to watch them while they're in jail. And as long as people commit crimes, there'll have to be somebody that can catch them and put them in jail. So our law enforcement officers right now, we have close to 100% placement rate as well with them. Some of them don't all want to be full-time law enforcement officers. Some of them want to be part-time. Reserves. We have a very rich and robust reserve program in both homes in Washington County. There's a great presence there. And we do. The training there is what we feel like we're different from anyone else at the Technical Center because our programs are not a profit-driven career. You may want to go to auto body and open up a auto shop and repair cars and make tons of money. These men and women that are coming here have made a decision that they want to serve their community. So I can't think of anything better I'd rather be doing than helping these men and women begin their career serving other people.
And you're entirely right, and I'm glad you touched on that. I think right now for the Washington County Sheriff's Office, effectively for a new guy coming in with little or no experience, $14,000 after you back out his health benefits and that sort of thing, that's tough to feed yourself, let alone a wife and family.
Absolutely, and when I started, and times have changed, I don't consider myself that old, but my base salary at the Washington County Sheriff's Office in 1994 was $14,500 a year before anything else was ever taken out of there. So I understand the sacrifices, my family understands the sacrifice, but it's a calling. It's like a military personnel, it's like a nurse, or it's like someone else. It is a true calling where you don't have any option, that it's something that you feel like you have to do.
And you're right, if you don't have the love for the people and the job, and if you're not in the job for the right reason, some people unfortunately may get into it to bust a few heads. They don't last long. Obviously, they get weeded out very quickly. Law enforcement has changed dramatically over the last 30 to 50 years, I would imagine. No longer do you have to put up with people who are not there for the right reason, because, as you point out, you've got a lot of people waiting in line on waiting lists for these jobs.
Well, and the thing is that a lot of times, because there's a low pay involved and because the benefits that, shift work, being away from the home at nights and weekends, it takes a special kind of person that wants to do that, and it takes that commitment, that dedication. So do you run across the occasional person that maybe wants to try to do it for the wrong reasons? And we actually try to screen them in the academies and try to take care of that at our level. And then the sheriff's departments, police departments go the extra step there as well, because we're all in this thing together. And a law enforcement officer or correctional officer, for that matter, or firefighter EMT, they have a traumatic and a dramatic impact on people's lives every single day. And especially when you have the power to take somebody's freedom from them or take a life if need be, then we need to make sure that those are the right people and the right jobs are doing it for the right reason.
In conversation with Chief Kevin Cruz with the City of Chipley, and then Bobby Haddock with the Washington County Sheriff's Office, in both cases, they point out that they simply could not do fiscally what they do if you didn't have people that love their job, because these guys, as you point out, are not getting rich. And with downsizing or job freezing, when somebody leaves, sometimes they don't have the ability to replace that position. So somebody doing more work for no more money, if you don't love your job, you're not going to be there for very long.
That is true, but now we've touched on all the reasons we probably shouldn't do the job. What we look at too is there's nothing more rewarding than the job of a law enforcement or even a correctional officer or firefighter EMT, because what you're doing makes a difference. And like I said, everyone makes a difference. My hair getting cut the right way makes a big difference. A bad haircut makes a big difference. But we're talking about people who save lives. We're talking about people who affect, even if it's just a stolen bicycle in a child's yard, that is impactive of that child's life. So each and every day, these men and women, they don't realize how much they touch people, and occasionally they get reminded of how they do, and they get some type of acknowledgement for that. So, but most of the time it's an unsung job, and it is a true calling, and these professionals that we have in our area are phenomenal. I would stack them up against anybody anywhere in the state of Florida.
And we've had the opportunity to be able to appreciate that. Law enforcement, fire service, EMS, all of those basically in that same bucket, and you find many of those people with cross professions. Somebody who goes into one of those may end up in another one of those, because they all do have that at its core, which is giving of themselves selflessly for low pay because they love people and they love the job.
Absolutely, and a lot of our students here that we have, a lot of them are crossover students where they've trained in one discipline and they're crossing over to the other discipline, whether it's law enforcement to corrections or vice versa. We also have the same thing happening in our emergency medical technician as well as our firefighter program. because a lot of your agencies now are employing fire medics, which have to be both, emergency certified as far as medically and also fire rescue. So we see a lot of cross certification. We do see some occasionally that cross over from EMT to law enforcement or corrections to firefighter, because it's a love and a passion for helping others. I think it's very core, and that's why we put these 4 classes together, because you think about it, EMT is more of a health science. Firefighter has nothing really to do with law enforcement. The one core commonality about these is the fact that they're public service jobs where you're actually doing you're protecting folks and you're saving folks' lives.
And also, going back to what you talked about, law enforcement in some cases gives additional pay for somebody being qualified as an EMT or paramedic.
Yes, sir.
I know we see that in other parts of the state. Is that true around here?
It is. At one time, I'm not sure now, but at one time, Lynn Haven had a fire department and a police department that were interchangeable as far as the officers now. I haven't kept up with that, and I don't see a lot of that, but it's obviously a benefit for a law enforcement officer who's a first responder on the scene to have that emergency medical training.
Exactly. Well, thank you for what you do. You're doing a great job. People speak extremely highly of you. The people that have been through your course obviously sing your praises. You're an asset to the community. You're an asset to Washington Homes Technical Center. So for what it's worth, I know we don't always get thanked as much as we should, but thank you for what you do. Washington Homes Technical Center, the jewel of the area as far as turning out people who are going to be contributive members of our economy. And I know you've got a lot of people go through your course, so thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you, Paul. And the only thing I would like to say, like I said, this is the profession that training is integral. We don't realize that in law enforcement, corrections, firefighter, EMT, once we get you through the training, it's not over with, because to maintain an officer that's going to be able to do the job they need to do is constant training, because the job market changes. Like you said, the job now is not the same as what 20 years ago or 5 years ago. So it's evolving, and we're going to evolve with it. And I thank you for your comments.
Well, I think you've got a supportive school board, superintendent,
Absolutely.
director of your school. I think that you've got some of the tools necessary for you to be able to do that stellar job that you are doing. So I think that's a big part of it too.
Well, thank you, and thank you very much. Like I said, the school as a whole does a great job turning out the students and working with students, and I couldn't be more ecstatic about where I work at and the reason for why I do what I do.
Well, thanks again, and thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you, Paul.
We're here at the old Chipley High School parking lot, here witnessing some emergency vehicle operations practice. Greg Hutching, Director of the Public Safety Program at Washington Homes Technical Center. Another in our series of highlighting all that WHTC has to offer. If you want to find out more, you can go to their website, which is whtc.us. I'm sure that you can stop into the Student Services area, and they'll give you catalogs, give you all the information that just might spur your interest in another career. If you need remedial training from being downsized, if you've lost a job, probably no better time to try to find new training to find one of those good paying jobs. We'll be right back.